Do you remember those tiny hands that once admired you? Do you remember those little hands that once looked at you with admiration? The child who couldn't sleep without hugging you, whose eyes sparkled with love. But now, do they act like a completely different person? Do they no longer call, ask about you, or show the same interest as before? You check your phone, but there's still no message. You hope for a visit, but the door never opens. A deep question echoes in your mind. What changed? Where did I go wrong? First of all, you must know, you are not alone. Many parents experience this feeling, sensing that the bond with their children has weakened. But I have good news for you. It is possible to reverse this disconnection. There are 9 effective steps you can take to strengthen your relationship with your children and regain their attention and respect. And I will share them with you. If you truly want to create a change, leave a like on this video and comment, "I am rebuilding my bond." That way, we can see that we are not alone in this journey. Now, are you ready to rediscover your connection with your children and transform your relationship? How did we get here? Once upon a time, you were their biggest hero. You did everything you could to raise them, pouring in love, effort, and your entire life. So, how did things end up like this? How did that warm connection turn into cold distance? How did the child who once loved you the most become someone who now ignores you? To find the answer, let's first examine your emotions. Anger, disappointment, sadness, even guilt. These are all natural feelings, but these emotions can pull you into a deeper struggle. The solution is not in blaming yourself or feeling regret. The solution lies in understanding, adapting, and rebuilding mutual respect. That is exactly why today I will share with you the steps to repair your broken relationship with your child. And in the final step, I will reveal the most critical key that brings everything together and truly strengthens your bond. By the end of this process, you will learn how to rebuild a warm, sincere, and fulfilling connection with your children. And you will do it without compromising your self-respect or inner peace. So, let's begin. Step 1. Pause before reacting with anger. When you feel that your children are acting distant, it is natural to feel anger rising inside you. You might think, "I have given so much effort, sacrificed so much for their happiness. How can they ignore me now?" But here's an important truth. Anger does not close the gap. It makes it even wider. Studies show that yelling, blaming, or using passive-aggressive expressions pushes our loved ones further away. Instead, the first step to saving your relationship is to respond with awareness, not reaction. One of the best examples of this is the story of Beitanaka. Beitanaka was a retired teacher in his 70s. He hardly ever saw his children, and when they did visit, they seemed distant and uninterested. One day, he called his son, but there was no answer. His anger started to rise. Just as he was about to shout, "Do you not care about me anymore?" Zrenia, on oстановился. Instead, he decided to go for a walk to calm down. As he walked, he thought about the past, the sacrifices he had made, the love he had given. And then he realized something. His worth was not defined by whether his children called him or not. His dignity was built on a life filled with kindness, generosity, and love. No amount of neglect or distance could take that away. This realization helped him choose a different approach. Instead of acting out of anger, he decided to be more calm and loving. And over time, his relationship with his children improved. So remember, anger does not just push people away, it also overshadows your best qualities. Instead of reacting, pause and reflect. This is the first step toward healing. Step 2. Rebuild your life and find a new purpose. Wanting attention and love from your children is completely natural, but seeking happiness solely through them can create an emotional void. You need something beyond them to bring meaning to your life. One of the best examples of this is the story of Donna Helena. Donna Helena was a widow in her 60s. After losing her husband, her phone barely rang. She felt lost in loneliness. Until one morning, she made a decision. She took an old packet of flower seeds from her cupboard and stepped into her garden. At first, it was just a simple activity. But over time, it transformed her life. Gardening became her passion. She started sharing her vegetables with neighbors, joined a community gardening club, and made new friends. And most importantly, she was no longer alone. And here's the most interesting part. Her children noticed the change. Instead of seeing a mother trapped in sadness, they saw someone who embraced life with joy. And guess what? They started calling her more often. They visited her more. Because people, especially children, are drawn to positive energy. So, if you want to strengthen your bond with your children, start by enriching your own life. Pick up a new hobby, join a group, or learn something new. When you radiate confidence and happiness, people, including your children, will naturally be drawn to you. And this is just the beginning. There are many more steps to strengthening your connection with your child. In the next step, I'll show you how to communicate your emotions without pushing them away. If you're ready to transform your relationship, comment, "I am rebuilding my bond" below. And remember, it's never too late. Bonds built on love can always be rebuilt. And months later, the doorbell rang. Claire was standing at the door. She was surprised to see her mother looking so happy and full of life. This moment became a turning point in their relationship, because Claire realized that her mother was no longer someone waiting in sorrow. She was a woman who was truly living her life. Here's the most important point. Forgiveness doesn't just heal you. Sometimes, it also gives your children the space to reconnect with you. Remember, even if your children don't immediately respond the way you hope, by freeing yourself from the pain of the past, you reclaim your own peace. And if one day they change their minds, they won't find an angry, resentful parent. They will find one who welcomes them with love. Step 9. Build a new social circle. Loneliness is one of the most painful consequences of feeling neglected. If your children live far away or don't visit as often as they used to, you might feel emotionally abandoned. And this feeling can create resentment and disappointment for both sides. But remember, emotional fulfillment doesn't have to come solely from your children. One of the people who discovered this truth was Mr. Harold. Harold was an 80-year-old widower. For years, he waited for a phone call from his children. But those calls became less frequent, and loneliness started to consume him. Until one day, he made a decision. He would build his own social circle. He started attending weekly coffee gatherings, joined a senior citizens club, participated in book clubs, and went on park walks. At first, he didn't know anyone, but over time, he formed genuine friendships. And here's the interesting part. His children noticed the change. They no longer saw him as someone sitting by the phone, waiting. Now, he was an active and happy person. And as a result, their relationship stopped feeling like an obligation and became a real connection. That's why you should never hesitate to build meaningful relationships outside of your immediate family. Doing so does not lessen the love you have for your children. On the contrary, it strengthens and balances your relationship with them. Because once you realize that emotional satisfaction doesn't depend entirely on your children, your communication with them becomes less fragile, more balanced, and more fulfilling. And this is the key to rebuilding genuine love and connection in your relationships. What should you do now? Today, I have shared 9 powerful steps to help you rebuild your bond with your children. If you apply these steps to your life, you will notice a visible transformation in your relationship with them. But here's the most important point. You are not alone in this process. If you also want to strengthen your bond with your children, comment "I am rebuilding my bond" below. That way, we can support each other in this journey. And remember, it's never too late. Bonds built with love can always be rebuilt.